Hello and welcome back to Blue Flag Bandits, the series that drives F1's worst cars since 2010, so you don't have to, in the mostly desperate hunt for points. You join us in the deserts of Bahrain for pre-season in 2014, the first major technical reset in our series, driving our 2014 Challenger, the Caterham CT05. Before we talk about the raft of changes to the sport in 2014, let's look back on our 2013 season in the Marussia. It was a season that saw us fail to get out of Q1 in all 19 rounds, struggle to even get close to the points for the most part, and end the campaign with just a single point, the lowest score of the series so far, with Singapore once again coming to our rescue. Singapore now the only circuit that holds a record of points or something similar in every season we've raced there. We only managed to beat our team for this year, Caterham, in the constructor standings, but we were at least able to beat the Williams of Bottas and the Toro Rosso of Jean-Eric Vergne in the driver standings, meaning we were at least ahead of a couple of more established cars. Sebastian Vettel would reclaim his driver's title, beating Alonso in the final round, while the 2012 champion Hamilton could only manage third in his first campaign for Mercedes. Red Bull would also claim the Constructors' title after losing out to McLaren in our 2012, with the defending champions only managing fourth themselves. Our fifth season in this series sees the largest technical reset to date, as the engine formula moved from the naturally aspirated V8 to the 1.6 litre turbo hybrid V6 engines we're still using today. The engines incorporated a KERS system, now renamed the ERS-K, and had an 8-speed gearbox, with gear ratios needing to be nominated at the start of the season. They could only be changed once during the year without penalty. Lower noses also reappeared for the first time since 2010, which led to some questionable looking designs up and down the grid, with step noses also being outlawed. There were also changes to the minimum weight of the car to account for the heavier engines and tyres, while false camera mountings were also banned to negate additional aero advantages. There were also some changes to the sporting regulations, the FIA introducing penalty points for drivers, while the stewards were given more powers to issue 5-second penalties during a race, rather than drive-throughs and the like. The 107% rule was also relaxed due to the change in engine regs, especially when only 5 power units could be used during the season. Drivers were also assigned permanent numbers from 2012, a practice used in MotoGP and still used in F1 to this day, with only the champion able to elect to use the number 1. Double points were also available for the final race of the season, in an attempt to keep the championship fight alive to the end of the year, a practice that wasn't very popular then, and was instantly ditched before 2015. With many of the driver changes being announced during the 2013 season, the grid was pretty shaken up for the new era of F1. Red Bull retained champion Vettel, while Daniel Ricciardo moved from Toro Rosso to replace his countryman Mark Webber, who'd retired from Formula 1 and moved to WEC. Mercedes had stuck with their driver lineup, while Ferrari had brought in Kimi Raikkonen from Lotus to partner Fernando Alonso, replacing Massa, who moved to Williams, alongside Bottas, who remained there. Sergio Perez left McLaren after only one season, a fairly disappointing season as well, moving to Force India alongside Nico Hülkenberg, who'd left Sauber to return to the Silverstone outfit. Tuzil went the other way and moved to Sauber, partnering Gutierrez, while Lotus took on Pastor Maldonado to join Romain Grosjean. Toro Rosso would retain Jean-Eric Vergne and promote their junior driver Daniil Kvyat, while McLaren also promoted one of their young drivers in Kevin Magnussen to join Jenson Button. At the back of the grid, Caterham replaced their entire 2013 lineup, with Kamui Kobayashi returning to the sport after a season away, driving for AF Corse in the WEC, and rookie Marcus Ericsson, the future Indy 500 winner, while Marussia retained their lineup from 2013. The calendar saw a similar shake-up after both the Indian and Korean Grand Prix were dropped from the calendar, though one of them was at least on the provisional calendar initially. They were replaced by the newly constructed Russian Grand Prix circuit at Sochi around the Winter Olympics Park, and the returning Österreich Ring, now known as the Red Bull Ring in Austria. Abu Dhabi would take the place of Brazil as the final round of the season, while the German Grand Prix returned to Hockenheim on its alternating deal with the Nürburgring. There were no new teams, nor teams leaving the grid prior to 2014, but the new engine formula did mean some engine changes for some. Cosworth withdrew from the sport at the end of 2013, leaving Marussia without an engine, eventually agreeing to a custom Ferrari deal. Williams parted company with Renault and became a Mercedes customer, which saw a large upturn in fortunes, while Toro Rosso gained an engine supply from Renault after ending their deal with Ferrari. Then talk about the green machine you're seeing on screen, our challenger for 2014, the Caterham CT05, actually the final Caterham to grace Formula 1. Powered by a Renault engine once again, the car was initially most known for its unique, shall we say, nose cone design, the crash structure cutting off and leaving an appendage at the end to comply with the regulations, though as the season progressed it would be altered and look like a more traditional nose cone structure by the end. The CT05 was another Caterham that found itself at the back of the field, only able to chalk up an 11th place finish in Monaco as its best result. A race that would be a good result if it wasn't for the points finish of the Marussia of Jules Bianchi. Financial troubles hit the team as the season continued, Caterham missing 2 races at the tail end after the Japanese Grand Prix and returning to Abu Dhabi through a crowdfunding operation before succumbing to their issues and folding at the end of the season, leaving only Marussia, soon to be called Mana Marussia, from the new entrants of 2010. In the real stand-ins, Lewis Hamilton would cruise to his second world title, and his first for Mercedes, the Silver Arrows dominating the field and often fighting with just each other, winning all but 3 races through 2014, Hamilton taking 11 wins to Rosberg's 5, with those 3 races that Mercedes didn't win, won by Daniel Ricciardo in the Red Bull. Bottas would take 4th in the driver's standings, showing the increase in Williams' performance, as they also slotted in behind Mercedes and Red Bull in the constructors, while Vettel could only manage 5th in his title defence, taking no wins, a feat only achieved before for a defending champion by Jacques Villeneuve in 1998. So then, we return to the Malaysian Norfolk-based Caterham, a team that in real life were floundering both on and off track, and were gone by the end of 2014. After the struggle that was 2013 for us, we've at least got a really, really low bar to jump over. Judging by the pace in Bahrain, we're going to be fighting a losing battle. You can see that we're scrapping with Sabres and Lotus and Toro Rossos, but not really anywhere near anybody else. There were, however, some positives to take away from this race, namely that we can defend astutely in this car, which is good, and not feel like it's a lost cause all the time, which means that if there are races filled with carnage and we find ourselves further up the order, we might be able to pick something off. We'll be running the same settings as every season previous. Legendary AI, traction control on the racing lines in 50% races with rules and flags. Much like last season, we find ourselves needing not only to compete with ourselves, compete with Marussia, but find another team. And this season it's Sauber, the other team to go an entire season without points in the real world. Another season awaits us then, and much like 2012, we're driving for a team on borrowed time. We'll be replacing that future Indy 500 winner, Marcus Ericsson, as we try and hustle the green machine to some sense of glory before this team joins the likes of Pacific, Minardi, Life, Onyx, HRT, and so on, as the list of teams no longer in the sport. Can we find a way to drag this car into the points, or will we slip to our first pointless season in the series at our 5th attempt? It's going to be another hard season, but hopefully you'll join me in Australia for the opening round of 2014 to kick off this new era of the sport and see how we get on. I'm going to leave you just for a few minutes in the company of the Caterham CT05 around Sakia. Thank you so much for watching this introduction to 2014. Like, share, comment, subscribe, do all the good stuff. You know the drill by now. I'll see you down under for round 1 very, very soon. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.